Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of the Hezbollah militia in Lebanon, has threatened a fight with no rules if Israel launches a full-scale war with his group. He also said Cyprus would be a legitimate target in any future war if it continues its military collaboration with Israel. His statement followed Israel's announcement that its military has approved a plan for an operation in southern Lebanon.
The latest strikes on Lebanon. Israel and the militant group Hezbollah have been trading cross-border attacks almost daily. Now they have taken steps with the potential for a full-scale conflict. Israel has approved what it calls operational plans for an offensive in Lebanon.
We've made absolutely clear that one way or another, diplomatically or through military means, our northern border, the north of our country, Israeli sovereign territory, will be made safe for Israel's population, Israel's people, to return there.
Hezbollah's leader Hassan Nasrallah responded by promising a fight with no rules.
They have to wait for us on the ground, in the air and in the sea. We have said this before, and I will say this again today. If the war's imposed on Lebanon, the resistance will fight without control, without rules and without a ceiling.
The cross-border exchanges of fire began after the October 7 terrorist attack by Hamas. The UN says more than 400 people were killed in Lebanon in such strikes, including dozens of civilians. On the Israeli side, the reported casualties amount to at least 25 soldiers and civilians. Hezbollah says it is ready to de-escalate, but to do so, it wants something that has proven difficult to achieve: a lasting ceasefire in Gaza.
And DW correspondent Rebecca Ritters is following events from Haifa near Israel's northern border with Lebanon. Rebecca, good to see you. Hassan Nasrallah has warned any potential Hezbollah attack on Israel would be one with no rules. How is Israel seeing this warning?
Well, Israel takes the threat on its northern border very seriously, Birish, and that is why it has had a very, very large troop presence here in the north along the border, and of course all the military hardware that goes with that. Since the very beginning of this war, in fact, since Hezbollah launched its attacks into northern Lebanon on the 8th of October in support of Hamas's war in Gaza. So it's been taking it seriously all along. I mean, the Israeli military has been incredibly tied up in the Gaza war, and it hasn't wanted to open up completely a second front in the north, but it is the received wisdom that the idea would be that Israel has to, in fact, push back the threat of Hezbollah at its northern border, and that after it has quote-unquote completed its missions in Gaza, it will then turn its attention to the north. That could be what we're starting to see with this ramping up of rhetoric and the heightened tensions here on the border. Nasrallah is not the only person raising the rhetoric, though. You're seeing that on the Israeli side as well, with threats coming. And we saw the confirmation, as you just mentioned, that they have in fact green-lit their plan and they will implement it if necessary.
You're in Haifa, which Hezbollah apparently filmed with a drone showing potential targets. Do residents feel under threat of attack from Hezbollah?
Well, we came here to gauge that sense, Birish. You can see behind me a little bit of the ocean and the port, which is there, which is one of the targets that Hezbollah had in its sights in that drone footage. We've spoken to people here on the streets. You know, last night when we arrived, all the cafes, restaurants, everything was open. It's definitely business as usual here in Haifa. I think residents here feel a sense of normality still at this stage, though they do obviously are aware of the heightened threat. They are concerned, and I think everybody feels that a wider conflict, or certainly a larger scale war with Hezbollah, is in the future. So of course there's concerns, but really when you walk around Haifa, I have to say that it's seemingly very normal. I was just actually speaking to a military personnel in downstairs, down from where we're standing now, and he was saying that he believes war is is really inevitable, but that as you look around and as I can see with my own eyes, people here are not yet concerned enough to be making any concessions.
Meanwhile, cross-border attacks between Israel and Hezbollah have actually been taking place for months. So why are tensions particularly escalating right now?
Well, despite the fact that Israel and Lebanon have been in a quasi-conflict regarding the border region for many years, this current flare-up is inextricably linked to the war in Gaza, and the longer that goes on, the more risk there is of this spilling over into a wider conflict and into a direct conflict with Hezbollah or with Lebanon, and seeing that as a more all-out conflict rather than the tit-for-tat that we have been seeing now for 9 months or so. So the longer this goes on without a hostage deal, without an end to the war in Gaza, and without a withdrawal of troops there, we're moving further and further closer towards some wider conflict.
We'll leave it there for the moment. DW's Rebecca Ritter is reporting from Haifa. Thanks so much.